It's actually based on something my wife and I did while taking medicinal ketamine in a therapist's office. 100% real and legal. During the 4th season of Dexter, Michael C. Hall was keeping something from us. Something so bad that it could have killed his career right away. 2009, he filmed every scene while fighting cancer in secret. There was silence in Hollywood when the truth came out. Then he got divorced from his co-star, but they still had to work together on love scenes. His fans turned against him. Some people said it was torture. That wasn't even the worst part. After many years, he told something about his personal life that made people very angry or very happy. What was going on behind those cold, determined eyes? Mike Hall was born in Raleigh, North Carolina, on February 1, 1971. But his family was already feeling the loss before he even breathed his first breath. His sister Julie Catherine Hall had died when she was very young, so Michael grew up being the only child in the family. The house was always quiet. In every discussion, picture, and quiet moment, it wrapped itself around it. Janice and William, his parents, carried their sadness around with them like a bag of bricks they couldn't see. Michael could feel it too. He knew he was the only one left even when he was a little boy. The one thing that kept dreams together after they had been broken before. He was quiet, careful, and seemed older than his years because he knew that. It didn't really go away either. He never saw death, but it still affected everything he did, how he felt, and how he walked in a world that always seemed a little fragile. Because his mom, Janice Styons Hall, was a mental health counselor, their dinner table wasn't like most. She talked about sadness and pain the same way other parents talk about their kids' math homework. William Carlisle Hall, his father, was born on March 10, 1943, and had a different way of thinking. He was a systems engineer manager at IBM. It made sense after that. Order and the ability to solve problems into the home. Together, they gave Michael a unique mix of emotional understanding and smart thought. Their house wasn't fancy, but it was steady, middle class, down to earth, and full of books and interesting things. That balance, along with his mother's deep knowledge of how people deal with inner storms and his father's steady hand with machines, made him smart enough to play a role later on. Take feelings apart like puzzle parts and put them back together on screen or stage. But one day, his life was split in two, the before and the after. Michael's dad passed away on September 11, 1982, from prostate cancer. He was only 39 years old. Michael was only 11 years old. That moment lost more than one parent. In the middle of a link, it was cut off. He was at the age when a boy stops seeing his dad as a giant and starts seeing him as a guy who he can learn from, talk to, and argue with. But that was all cut short. After that day, Michael and his mother were the only ones living in the house. It was quieter, and their relationship got stronger, maybe too strong. He wanted to be tough for her, so he hid his sadness, put it in a suitcase, and carried it with him. It changed how he dealt with everything, even though he didn't talk about it much. He would say years later that the number 39 became very important to him. Not just as a metaphor, but really obsessed. He asked himself over and over again if he would live to be that age. School was the only place where he felt a little better. He did his first play at Ravenscroft School in Raleigh in the 2nd grade. It was called What Love Is. That moment set something in motion. By 5th grade, he was in the boys' band, which gave him another way to express himself. He could show how he felt without having to explain it by singing. Over the years, he was in every spring show. He did Oklahoma, The King and I, South Pacific, Bye Bye Birdie, Fiddler on the Roof, and Annie Get Your Gun from 6th grade until he graduated in 1989. His favorite role was Conrad Birdie in Bye Bye Birdie when he was a student. He played Lazar Wolf in Fiddler in 1988. He dressed up as a character from Las Vegas and sang into a microphone. He wasn't supposed to be the quiet, thoughtful kid that day. He could pretend to be someone loud and hard to reach. Lester Southern, who taught him singing, was a big part of that growth. Michael will always remember Ravenscroft as the place where he felt free to try new things with his music, acting, and ideas. He kept hearing that number 39 over and over again. He couldn't remember the year his father died, it was like a running clock. He would say later, "I think I've been busy since I was 11." With the thought of being 39. It wasn't just fear. It affected the parts he picked. In 6 Feet Under, he played a mortician, and in Dexter, he played a serial killer. He was drawn to stories about death and sadness. Then there was the creepy turn. He was told he had Hodgkin's cancer in 2009, just before he turned 39. He was 38 years old. It was just the right time for him to stop. He said that he began chemo right after shooting the 4th season of Dexter. The cancer went away for good. He lived past the age of 39, but that moment made him more aware of how quickly life could end. That boys' choir in 5th grade was the beginning. When he was in high school, though, shows saved his life. He took on every job he could and put himself out there not to get attention but because it let him feel things safely. The roles hid how people really felt. It wasn't really him, even though he could scream, cry, and laugh. It didn't seem dangerous. Acting became his way of healing in this way. He was in therapy before he learned what it was. He was more than just a kid who liked theater. He was a boy who made armor out of speech and lights from plays. After high school, in 1989, he went to Indiana's Earlham College. He said he was going to study law at first, but he later said that was more for safety reasons than because he loved it. The sound of it was responsible, but it wasn't. The real moment was when he played the MC in Cabaret at Earlham. That part broke something open. It was crazy, dark, and emotional, and he loved it. He could use it to deal with the pain of losing his dad. His mind changed and he no longer wanted to be in court. He wanted to be on stage as a character and look into the dark. That made everything different. Between 1989 and 1993, he played more roles at Earlham that let him explore the frozen part of himself that never fully healed after age 11. He said later that it felt like something got stuck there, and he went back to it many times over the years. Theater wasn't just a job. He could get out of the cold that way. Earlham let him feel in a way that didn't make him feel bad. He stopped pretending to be a lawyer by the time he finished in 1993. Now, the way was to act. He began studying acting at NYU's Tisch School of the Arts after moving to New York. It was very serious. Something that doesn't just train you, but also breaks you down. One thing you couldn't do was fake what they taught you. You had to get in touch with the real stuff, like the pain, the memories, and the loss. That meant Michael had to face the death of his father, not just avoid it. During those years at NYU, when he was 22 to 25, he kept coming back to that question. Would he make it to 39? Even though the training was tough, it helped him improve in new ways. He became a better actor because of it, and it also made him more honest with himself. Something had changed by the time he got his Master of Fine Arts in 1996. He knew how to use his own pain to make it seem like everyone else's. That made him strong. His shows weren't loud, but they were powerful. They didn't try to get your attention. They kept it. In March 1998, he got a part as Malcolm in Macbeth off-Broadway. Angela Bassett and Alec Baldwin were also in the movie. The reviewers saw him. Someone even said that Michael's voice was the only one strong enough to handle Shakespeare's words. It wasn't luck. That was the result of years of digging deep into your feelings. He did something risky that same year, 1998. The play Corpus Christi was about a gay Jesus in Texas, and he played St. Peter in it. Right away, there was reaction. Threats of bombs. Threats of death. At one point, the theater called off the show. There were protesters in the streets. There were NYPD guards and metal scanners at the play, though. Michael went through all of that to play the part. No longer was it just about playing. It was about picking projects that made people feel bad. Projects that made him think about things he was thinking about on his own. Then he got his big break on Broadway. In place of Alan Cumming, Sam Mendes hired him on June 8, 1999, to be the MC in the Broadway production of Cabaret. The part was crazy. He put on belts, fishnets, and a lot of makeup. People in Raleigh, North Carolina, would have been shocked by the way he moved, sang, and played with gender. It was dangerous. It worked out well. He got an award from Theatre World for his work, and showed that he could perform well on the biggest stage. He was just another actor in New York who was having a hard time when, in 1999, he got a $400 a week part in a soap opera. That was barely enough to pay the rent. Not many people paid attention at the time, but after 2 years, something changed. Over 200 players tried out for the 6 Feet Under role on HBO. Michael C. Hall didn't think he had a chance. Adam Scott almost got the part. He later said that the refusal almost put an end to his acting career. He told her he was ready to quit and go work at the Santa Cruz welding shop his dad owned. Hall, on the other hand, came into the room with something raw on him. Michael was only 11 years old when his father died of prostate cancer. He didn't have to lie when he read the funeral scene either. The person in charge of casting said Hall's eyes looked like they had 30 years of tears that no one had ever seen. That sadness got him the part. He was making $75,000 an episode by the 3rd season. David Fisher kissed Keith Charles in June 2001, after only 4 shows. It wasn't just a kiss. One of the first real gay relationships between people of different races to be shown on TV. Michael ran away from his own life. During an interview in 2009, he said that before he married actress Amy Spanger, he had dated both guys and women. It took 14 hours and 23 takes to film David telling his mom he was gay. Frances Conroy, who played Ruth, said that Hall was shaking in the breaks. 3.2 million people watched that scene, which was HBO's best Sunday number that year. 14,000 letters were sent to the network. 89% of them were good. The "I'm gay" line that was stuttering wasn't even in the script. He added it right then and there because he thought a finished version didn't feel real. That one broken line made it feel like real life. David Fisher went through hell over the next 4 years. Being raped, kidnapped, married, cheated on, and having PTSD. He was made to dig his own grave one time under threat of death. For that season, Paul lost 18 pounds and started going to therapy to help him get through the parts. Between 2002 and 2004, he turned down 12 parts that seemed like they wanted to make him into the stereotypical gay man who was being tortured. He didn't tell many people about this. He was making $150,000 an episode by the end of the season. Over $100 million worth of DVDs were sold by the show alone, but Hall was worn out. It took him 6 months to feel like himself again after the end, he said. He spent a lot of time with Frances Conroy and Lauren Ambrose. Every day on set, they ate lunch together. But the funeral scenes got too close for comfort. Almost 3 nights a week, he had bad dreams about his father's death. He began paying $200 a week for training in 2002. By season 4, they only made him work 4 days a week instead of 5. To find the line between David and Michael, Dr. Lisa Firestone helped him. Krause said that after a tough scene, Hall would sometimes sit in his room by himself for 45 minutes and stare at nothing. He had to get B12 shots every week just to make it through season 5. The last episode aired on August 21, 2005. In that episode, David plays with his car while seeing his dead family. Paul worked alone for 2 12-hour days to film against green walls. 47 times, they filmed David's last smile. He said it wasn't meant to be sad. It was meant to be a release. Twice as much as the show usually costs to make, that episode cost $3.2 million. 3.1 million people watched it. And by the end of 2006, DVDs and sales outside of the United States had brought HBO $127 million. After the fact, Paul said that playing David Fisher helped him say goodbye to his dad for good. After 6 months, that part got him another one, as Dexter Morgan. Author Jeff Lindsay wasn't sure who should play Dexter when Showtime asked for someone. After that, he only heard Michael say one line. No need to try out. Showtime gave him the part just because of what he did in 6 Feet Under. It first aired on October 1, 2006. 603,000 people watched the first run. That same night, the encore brought in an extra 443,000. It went over 1 million altogether. That was the best debut for the network in almost 2 years. In the first season, Michael made $295,000 per show. He made $3.54 million over the course of the season. People were hooked on Dexter's voiceovers, which were cool, creepy, and smart. Hall drew from years of playing people who were hiding something. By 2007, the second season had the Bay Harbor Butcher storyline. The FBI was keeping an eye on Dexter while he was hiding bodies. At that point, he was making $150,000 to $175,000 per show. It was now Showtime's best original show. People who didn't like him kept talking about how calm he was while he was being chased. That was the point. 1.22 million people watched the first episode of Season 3 in 2008. It was over with 1.5 million. In that season, Dexter made a friend named Miguel Prado, who used to be a district attorney and is now a killer partner. Jim Smits played the part, and he and Hall were both nominated for Emmys. It went from friendship to betrayal in the story. Hall really showed how weak he was here. Not only on screen, but also off, his ideas about partnerships were changing. At the end of Season 4, Rita was found dead in the bathtub with Harrison crying in her blood. On December 13, 2009, 2.6 million people watched the episode, which was the most ever on Showtime at the time. It was a fake ending, and the team had to sign NDAs. It was a surprise to everyone. Plumman, played by Julia Stiles, joined the show in Season 5. It turned out that she and Dexter were lovers and killers together. There were rumors going around about Hall and Stiles from the start. He was now making $4.5 million a season, or $350,000 a show. Hall was fighting cancer in the background the whole time. Hall was 38 years old when he was told he had Hodgkin's cancer in 2009. His dad had died when he was 39. He was now 1 year away from that number. He didn't tell anyone, filmed the whole fourth season while sick, and the next day he started chemo. He often thought about whether he would live past 39. He wasn't sure that year. In January 2010, he went public. At the Golden Globes, he hit his bald head with a black knit cap. It was joked that he looked like Bob Marley. Anyone could see the joke. Then Hall proved what was true. The Golden Globe was given to him while the cap was still on. He said it was nice to have a reason to adorn himself. The joke stopped, though. The cancer had already gone away. He wore a wig in Season 5. He looked smaller and slower after losing about 20 pounds. It felt like some scenes were haunted more than usual. As he fought to stay alive, he kept shooting scenes of death. He did say, though, that he felt a strange energy after treatment was over. It felt like something was lifted. It took a while for him to tell Jennifer Carpenter. On New Year's Eve 2008, they got married. On the show, she was his sister. Everything changed when he was told he had cancer and the worry that came with it. She longed for kids. He started to worry that he might pass on genes that cause cancer. In August 2010, they broke up. In December, they asked for a divorce. Closed the deal in December 2011. She asked for help for her husband. Certainly. They kept making movies together anyway. This was the most uncomfortable turn of events. A few days after the split, Dexter added a plot in which the adopted sister, Deborah, told Dexter she liked him romantically. Michael and Jennifer had to film scenes of them making out during and after they broke up. Fans didn't like it. Threads on Reddit went crazy. Some people said it was torture. Jennifer choked back tears as she said that the end of the marriage didn't mean the end of the love. Then the rumors about Julia Stiles came back. Lots of people said they got along great and were too close on set. It was said that she was the reason for the split. In People magazine, she said she had nothing to do with it, but the newspapers kept running with the story. By Season 8, fans were really mad. Things had changed with the show. Scott Buck ran the show from now on. Showtime didn't want Dexter to die or get caught, so they made him pretend to be dead and work as a lumberjack. The last episode aired on September 22, 2013. Hall said afterwards that he didn't even see it. He told them they were tired. He was too. Jennifer Carpenter said she was happy, but in interviews she looked clearly upset. But something good came from it all. Hall started working for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society after his cancer went away. In 2013, he was the voice of a big campaign. In the ad, he said, "Someday is today." He said that science gave people real hope. He did other work for the Lymphoma Research Foundation as well. He said he had no idea how much it meant to people to see someone live, especially someone they saw die on TV every Sunday night. After the end of Dexter in September 2013, Michael C. Hall's career was about to fall off a cliff. He had played a bloody killer with surgical accuracy for 8 seasons, and the part wouldn't go away. Studios were not only hesitant, they were frozen, not sure how to see him as anyone other than the person who cut up and sorted Miami's worst. It was time for him to do something different. He picked a quiet man with a gun because he thought it would be safer. It was July 2013, and he was already in the Hudson Valley of New York shooting cold in July. That was only 1 week after finishing the finale of Dexter. It was very, very hot. After 25 days of low-budget studio work, Hall was no longer a killer. He was now Richard Dane, a father from Texas who shoots a thief and starts to feel scared. He said it was good for him. His fear from years ago, when he was fighting Hodgkin's cancer in secret during Dexter's 4th season, he let out all of it on that man. Sundance was cold in July. By January 2014. IFC paid $2 million for it, not Tribeca. It wasn't just a show. His first time getting out of jail. It had been a few months since Hall had taken another risk. The movie Kill Your Darlings came out in theaters in October 2013. In real life, he played David Cameron, a man who was obsessed with being out of place and was killed in a crime that shaped the Beat generation. The group was good. Bryan Cranston played Allen Ginsberg in the movie, but it didn't do well. It only opened in 4 theaters and never went over 78. In the United States, the total take was just over $1 million. It only went up to $2,084,115 around the world. Opening weekend for Hall only brought in $53,452, which is a very small 5.2% of its total take. It was one of his worst weeks at the box office ever, and it hurt. Not out of pride, but because it proved something he already thought was true. There was no way to tell him apart from Dexter. The shade followed him even when he was doing something personal or very old. He didn't go after leads, so he picked smaller, quieter, and stranger roles. It wasn't take back. It was a plan. Then Broadway came along with its glitz and grit. Paul put on shoes and a body full of scars from October 16, 2014, to January 4, 2015. Hedwig and the Angry Inch wasn't just another part. It was a test of how strong you are. Nearly 500 shows, 6 a week, and sometimes 12. He performed rock songs in drag and gave painful speeches while still getting better from a disease that almost killed him. When he was 38, he was told he had it in 2009. At age 39, his father had died of cancer. The math made him feel bad. Even so, he was there in his platform boots, drenched in sweat, turning every bit of his physical and mental tiredness into electricity on stage. Critics gave him praise. People came back over and over again. He was even asked to help promote the Tony Awards. It was that dirty and glittery Hall who had something to prove after she had cancer in Dexter. He didn't run away when the curtain fell. He changed. Next came voice work, with podcasts like The Time Traveler's Wife. It gave him a chance to forget about seeing Dexter and focus on something more personal, just voice. Just words. But it was a band that really changed things. He started Princess Goes to the Butterfly Museum with Peter Yanowitz on drums and Matt Katzbowen on keys in 2017. That's what he called himself. Also, that's what the sound was. Heavy on synths, stripped down, and full of mood. On September 23, 2018, they played their first live show in New York. Thanks for coming, the first record, came out on March 26, 2021. 13 songs, such as Cruel World and Armageddon Suite. It wasn't just music. It was a way to get away from being typecast and make something where no one could say Dexter and mean only that. The band only played in small, sweaty spaces in New York until 2020. The sound, though, was louder than the rooms. He tried TV again in May 2018, but this time it was on the other side of the Atlantic. Netflix put out the 8-part thriller Safe, in which Hall played Tom Delaney, a widowed pediatric surgeon who was looking for his lost daughter. From July 2017 to August 2018, it was shot in Manchester, Liverpool, and Cheshire. There were all the usual twists and turns in the plot, but the plot wasn't what people talked about the most. It was his speech. It got bad reviews in Britain, and Reddit was full of threads about how his speech went up an octave and sounded fake. Hall did not disagree. He focused on the performance, on being a painful father and a guy who was stuck in trauma. He made him feel weak again, like he did when he was hurt by his own losses. Streamed in 190 countries, it was his first big break since Dexter ended. It also showed that he could still lead, even if people didn't like what he did. There had been problems in their personal lives long before that accent discussion. He married actress Amy Spanger on May 1, 2002. It got so bad that they had to play opposite each other on Broadway in Chicago in 2003. His name was Billy Flynn. Her name was Roxy Hart. It looked like electricity. But by 2005, the cracks were clear. After almost 5 years together, they filed for divorce in 2006. In the same year, she had a special role on 6 Feet Under. The ending was polite but firm. The next person was Jennifer Carpenter. They met on the set of Dexter in 2007. In the movie, she played his adopted sister. Something real happened off-screen. On New Year's Eve 2008, they ran away together in Big Sur. When they walked the red carpet together at the Golden Globes the next January, everyone found out. After a year, the marriage broke up under unbearable stress. Hall told everyone in January 2010 that he had Hodgkin's cancer. He was 38 years old. Jennifer was with him at all of his appointments and during his chemo cycles. By April, he beat it. But the damage was still there. By August, they were no longer together. She asked for a divorce in December and got it in December 2011. People said that Hall no longer wanted children because his illness had changed his mind. She had wished for a family. They quietly said goodbye. Then the news came out. Julie Stiles, who played Hall's co-star in Season 5 of Dexter, got caught up in the rumors. After Hall and Carpenter broke up, rumors spread like wildfire. Stiles denied all of it. "I have nothing to do with the breakup at all." On December 16, 2010, she said. The press didn't stop, though. For August 2011, Radar said Hall was seeing a Showtime worker named Vanessa LaBrue, who was 25 years old. It smelled like fuel for a midlife crisis, but Hall never confirmed any of it. His answer to all questions about himself. In 2018, he said something that no one thought he would. In an interview with the Daily Beast on November 9, he said, "I'm not all the way straight." He was 47 years old. He said that playing the MC in Cabaret and David Fisher in 6 Feet Under had opened doors for him. He also said that he had kissed Michael Stuhlbarg every night on stage and that he had always been open to change. He wasn't trying to hide the fact that he'd never been in a serious relationship with a guy. Fans had strong reactions. Some people were shocked. Some people were happy. It didn't bother him. Idols didn't bother him. He had always thought it was wrong for men to be emotionally close to each other. He was 11 years old when his father died. Hall knew how to deal with his grief on his own. He had already been with Morgan McGregor by that time. They met in private. She worked for the Los Angeles Review of Books as an editor and wrote for Book Riot and the Paris Review. The first time they were seen by the public was at the 2012 Emmys. In 2016, 4 years after they got together, they got married at New York City Hall. She was 29 and he was 45. He talked about her as a great friend and an amazing mix of smarts and kindness in interviews. They talked about having children, but Hall said he wasn't sure. The world didn't seem safe. The door was still open, but slowly. Cancer was always there in his story. He made it into something bigger even after it was over. He wore a Japanese knit cap to hide the hair loss caused by chemotherapy during his 2010 Golden Globe speech. He also told the crowd about his illness. That one simple thing turned into a light. He joined Stand Up to Cancer and helped raise more than $500 million by 2018. He was also the lead spokesman for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society and spoke at their 2013 Someday is Today campaign. He said he had no idea it would mean so much to other people. He showed that you could live and still stand in the center. In the years after the last episode of Dexter, he had to deal with the character's shadow. He gave life to cartoons on the documentary Now. Starred in time travel stories like In the Shadow of the Moon, and then she went back to the theater for The Joneses and Lazarus, a David Bowie musical. But the shade didn't really go away until 2021. Dexter. He woke up with new blood. It ended with what looked like Dexter's death. Fans were split in two. Stranger things did happen in 2025, though. Dexter. On July 11, Resurrection made its debut. Hall came back. In the first week, 4.4 million people watched the opening. They didn't give away the finish this time. They just got him back. Phillips wrote a twist, and Hall went with it. In October, he told everyone sitting on his couch in New York that there would be a second season. Peter Dinklage was in the group. John Lithgow came back as the Trinity Killer. Not only was Dexter living, he was important again. Paul is 54 years old now and is more than just the man with the knife. His band goes on tour with him. Their shows have been in Prague and Philadelphia. They're strange, wild, and living. More than 12,000 people always look forward to what they post. He's talking about going back to the Bowie show Lazarus. That once let him cry through music. In 2021, on Bowie's birthday, he streamed it live. Taking a step back, he thinks about it. He once said that Dexter made him feel like his father had died. The pain and the art were both real. In the last few seasons of Dexter, he made $350,000 per episode and was nominated for an Emmy, a Golden Globe, and a Screen Actors Guild Award. Still, what's more important is that he changed what a TV hero could be like. Flawed, coded, and not warm. Paul was never small enough to fit in a box. He no longer tries to do it.